Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. I'm going to kill you.
Was that distracting? That was good.
Oh my God.
I was like,
Hi, Steve.
that one.
Oh, looks like a
That was such
Godzilla
a
movie
good
over here. Just dropped in. What's up, dude?
Hi, how's it going?
Great. Man, what's happening? Is it cold there? It got cold here today.
It's been nice. Like in the mornings, it's cold, and then the rest of the day gets very, very nice. I'll say
It was 40 degrees today when I walked the dogs, and in the pitch black, that was very, very chilly.
Pass.
So that's why I'm bundled in a hoodie today. I was like, oh God,
I got to work, and then now I'm just in a t-shirt.
It's so cold. Steve, what you been cooking this week, man?
We've been getting creative with leftovers.
Yes.
My wife made like a chicken and broccoli casserole with a ton of cheese and cream cheese and stuff. So I figured I would take it a step further and wrap it all up in crescent roll dough and bake all that off. And it was actually really good. It was really good. Of course, it wasn't puff pastry good, but it got the job done.
I mean, I like crescent rolls though. Was it the most amazing thing you ate this week?
Yeah, we'll say so. Well, no, it wasn't. It was close, but we went to De Casa and
Yes.
Gerardo hooked it up. Like we went and I told him I'm really craving a calzone. Like, can you throw mushrooms and whatnot in there? He's like, well, I don't know how well they'll cook because like I use raw mushrooms. So what he did was he made his awesome calzone and then put sauce over the top with mushrooms and more cheese like a pizza. Oh my gosh.
So did he baked it again after?
Yeah, he just threw it all in there as is, and it just came out perfect.
What?
To say it was anything but perfect is an understatement because it was so delicious. Like,
oh my gosh,
chef special. I don't know what you would a one-off. I don't know. I just told him, bro, I'm craving a calzone. Hook it up.
You got the hookup, man. That's awesome.
Yes, I was very happy with that.
That's amazing.
What about you? What's the most amazing thing you've had this week?
Let's see. That's a good one. I don't even know that I've had anything homemade this week. It's been a heck of a week.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't eaten anything at home. Let's see. I made brookies. Those are really amazing. You know brookies?
Yes.
Brownie cookie combo.
Mm-hmm.
I added extra protein and fiber to them. So I bought like the Duncan Hines makes a keto chocolate chip cookie mix. I'm not watching carbs, but you know, I kind of like to just, you know, I don't know. If I'm gonna have something that's indulgent, I try to make it like the best of that I can have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I used a vanilla protein shake for the liquid
Nice.
in the cookie mix. And I already have a recipe that comes from Minimalist Baker for peanut butter and chocolate swirl brownies, but the base is black beans and cocoa. So I kind of made these like supercharged, high fiber, high protein, like brookies. Really good. Really good. Really super good. You can't taste the black beans in there, I promise. They make you toot some, but like whatever. It's just your digestive system. Yeah, I mean it's your digestive system, you know, kind of like bulking up on the good bacteria, right? All the gas bubbles and whatever. But yeah. No, really tasty. So I treated myself to that, and let's see. I'm gonna find a steak. I have to find a steak somewhere, probably tonight. So I might report back the next time we get to talk.
Okay. Deal.
Yeah.
Deal.
So use crescent rolls. Do you use crescent rolls a lot?
Not really. I just happen to have them in the fridge, and I forgot why I had them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what did you buy them for?
I don't remember. That's the thing.
I
know
love
I bought
crescent rolls.
Well, I don't remember why. I didn't. Oh well. I mean, it makes life a little bit easier, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the goal, and I still have leftover casserole, so I need to figure out what I'm going to do next with it. You know.
What all was in the casserole again?
So it's like chicken, broccoli, cream cheese, onions, a little tomato. I don't know what all my wife put in there, but it came out really good, you know.
I think it would be good as a enchilada filling.
I don't have any tortillas though.
Oh,
I know.
You're a chef. You can make the tortillas.
That's true.
I mean,
That's
I
very
say that,
true.
but like, let's be really real. I'm also not going to make tortillas. Those are kind of one of my favorite things to have on hand in the house.
But the thing though is you have to buy them like from a really good bakery. You can't just get them off the shelves. It's not the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Agreed.
everybody. If anybody's watching me yawn every 10 seconds, it's not because Steven is boring or that I don't want to
No,
be here. It's just the first time. It's the first time I sat down all day, and now the sleep is coming on. So.
In all fairness, I've been doing that the last few episodes. So it's the same thing. You're on your feet all day. When you sit down,
and when you stop, it's like time to stop. But I think I think you hide yours better than I do. But I can't hold them in there. They are strong. The yawns are strong. I feel like I can break my jaw if I try to hold them in.
The yawns are strong with this one.
Well, yes. I like keeping tortillas on hand. I like keeping other things on hand too to make life easy, like cookie mix. Cookie mix for starters.
Like cookie dough?
No, like a dry mix, right? So like just chocolate chip or snickerdoodle or sugar. Okay. Sometimes I like to just mix that with a protein shake and make like really baller cookie dough to eat. You know, I don't even bake it because you don't put the eggs in it and all that. And you know, a lot of the fear, everybody out there, I don't know what camp everybody is in, raw cookie dough versus not. It's really not the eggs that are the issue. If you're using a pasteurized egg, it's the flour. So if you heat the flour in the microwave or you just bake it in the oven until it's, 150 above, you'll kill whatever's. Sometimes there's like a microorganism concern, but hey, honestly, I've been eating raw cookie dough for a long time and I'm still here. So
yeah, same here. I like raw cookie dough.
I like it too. Sometimes I do the same thing with blueberry muffin mix, Steve. I make protein balls out of it.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that creative, but sometimes I like the convenience of stuff like that, you know?
I don't know if it's like really a hack. It's just sorry guys. It's just something that I have something that I have happened upon lately.
Yeah.
Is like kind of using a dry mix that way. So
yeah, especially when you're cooking at home, like there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Having a cake mix instead of making your cake from scratch and all that, it works.
Yeah. But I always like to have a cake mix on hand, and I always like to have maybe a cookie mix on hand. I have the stuff to make it from scratch too, but sometimes I don't have time. Like I consider time is a premium, and sometimes I don't have it, so I want something that's really fast. Cake mixes are super versatile because I feel like you can add a banana to it and completely change it. You can add a soda to it. You can add a beer to it.
Yeah.
You can add extra eggs. You can beat egg whites and make it more of like an angel food cake situation. You can add all the mix-ins, right? And you can have cupcakes. Like you can kind of single serve a cake mix, especially if it's a complete cake mix, which is like just add water. You know?
Agreed.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do the same thing too. Like even in some of my YouTube videos, like I'll just have something like a sauce or something pre-made, and I'll say, "Look, if you really want to make this from scratch, I have another video on how to do it. But I mean, just for convenience sake, I'm not going to make this sauce all over again for you. You know?"
Do you think it's okay to use pre-made stuff?
I don't. I mean, I do. I don't mind it. Is what I was going to say. Like it helps out, you know, especially like when you're teaching people how to cook. Like if you want them to actually feel comfortable in the kitchen, sometimes it's okay to do that, I think. Yeah. Now, some people will call you out and say, what kind of chef are you? And you're using like a pre-made sauce or something. Well, you know, not everyone that's watching my videos knows how to make certain things. Sometimes it does help. It's kind of that gray area. What about you?
Well, I don't even have a nice answer for that. They'd be like, what kind of chef are you? To be like, the kind that makes more money than you do. Boom. Boom. But I said what I said. No, I mean, I don't really think there's a problem with it. One of the most amazing, like kind of convenience or pre-prepared items that I like to use is a rotisserie chicken. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Well, I mean, especially after you get home after a long day of work, like you don't have, like, you're not going to go home and then make yourself a nice rotisserie chicken or a roasted chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And in its state, when you buy it that way, it's like you already have the leftovers. So if you think about like the process of going through, trussing, marinating, brining, dry rubbing, whatever, right? That you're going to do your roasted chicken. Maybe you could spatchcock it, all the things. So you're talking about 2 days that you already put into it. All the preparation, all the cleanup, when all you're really wanting is like that chicken to use for other things, like buy the rotisserie chicken. There's nothing wrong with that.
It saves you time.
Well, and you can use the skin and the bones to make like really great broth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
So what about like pre-cut vegetables and stuff like that?
It depends on what they are. Sometimes it makes more sense to me to buy like, if I just need a little mirepoix, like onion, carrot, celery, they have the little tub. It's like $2. If it's the perfect amount I need, because I cook for one, and sometimes that's hard. If I buy an entire head of celery, like what do you think is going to happen to it? Half of it's going to go bad, or I'm going to freeze it, which you can do that. You can dice it and freeze it. I do that a lot, but then you're kind of only limited to using it for like stir fry soup or sauce, because the texture is like way different. So I'm like, okay, well, if it's $2 for a 4-ounce plastic cup of mirepoix, and I take that same $2 and I tried to buy a head of celery, 2 yellow onions, and a loose carrots, like nowhere around here is going to sell me loose carrots. I'm going to have to buy the whole bag, right? And by then I'm $6 in, Yeah. Like, what's the shame in that? You know what I mean?
There is none.
There's no shame in that game.
Anyone who's saying that there's shame in that is lying. They can get off their high horse and go listen to another podcast.
Hey,
I say that because like I've dealt with people like that before. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
How dare you? You're a chef and you have pre-minced garlic. It's like, yeah, because it's easy. I don't feel like mincing up garlic right now. Like, it's done. Little things like that. I agree with you 100%. Like, I don't mind dicing an onion, but let's be real. Like, I don't really like celery. My dogs do, so a lot of that would be like their snacks. But carrots, the same thing. It's like I don't eat a lot of carrots other than like whenever I'm making a good sauce or a stock or something.
Yeah, I mean, so there have been times where I love to make like a roasted carrots and harissa. And like chickpeas, or do the same thing with pesto. By the way, 2 convenience items that I can't live without: harissa and jarred pesto, or harissa and jarred like sun-dried tomato paste.
Okay.
Game changer for roasted vegetables, rub it on meat and like, pasta. And so, I have to really intentionally want, carrots as a side. Otherwise, like, why am I going to buy 2 pounds of carrots? So what do you think about the shredded ones? You buy them?
I really don't. Like, again, I don't eat a lot of carrots. And so very rarely do I ever have to buy carrots,
So what about the other cut vegetables though? What about like, let's think about the produce section.
The which one?
Like in the produce section. So you can buy the stuff that's like in the foam tray and like plastic wrap. So I'm thinking about like vegetable kebabs. I think those are killer.
I like them. I would buy them, but a lot of the times they have a lot of squash, and my problem is that they, like they're already the quality is not the best, so it's all spongy and gross in my opinion. But I also just don't care for squash to begin with. Yeah, I know, but I don't mind them. Like when it's like a lot of like the bell peppers, the onions, the mushrooms, and all that stuff. Heck yeah, I'm all about that.
I love that. What about bag salad? I know you don't eat salad, but when you have to buy salad, when you have to make salad for your partner.
My wife loves bagged salad.
The wife.
And so it's convenient as can be to have a bagged salad, and they don't suck. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, there's one out there at the old Wally World that's like a kale pecan cranberry crunch. It gets my vote. It's so good.
Yeah.
The dressing is a little sweet, so I'll go like half of the dressing packet with some olive oil. But dude, that salad's great, and all those things are really versatile too, Steve. Like I like the salad mixes that have the cabbage in them, and like the shaved Brussels sprouts and stuff.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's like winter and I decide I don't want to eat it as a salad, well, guess what? You don't have to put the mix-ins in there, season it, and then stir fry it. Instant side. It's an instant side.
The other thing that you could do with them is you can make like not a coleslaw. Well, I guess a coleslaw, if you will, like
a vegetable slaw.
Yeah, exactly. And all you got to do is add like your dressings and stuff to it, and you can say, "Look, everyone, we're making this pulled pork sandwich, and let's make a quick slaw. I'm sorry, I know y'all don't have a whole lot of time, so we're gonna get a bag salad and with Brussels sprouts and cabbage and all sorts of stuff, and we're just gonna make a slaw out of that.
Yeah.
It works. Is it cheating? Totally, but is it working smarter, not harder?
No, I don't think it's cheating at all.
I mean, I think
it's just,
I don't say that in a negative connotation.
Yeah, no, I knew what you meant.
I don't mean that in a negative connotation.
No,
So
I knew what you meant.
Fine.
I mean, I think, it's those items. It's like you kind of have to pick and choose which hill you're going to die on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to choose. I love Kraft Dinner, but boxed mac and cheese. I'm not going to choose that every single time. Right. Because I like my own mac and cheese too. But if I had to choose like Kraft mac and cheese and I could upgrade it by adding like 4 ounces of really sharp Vermont cheddar, like Tillamook, like the best cheddar ever, and a bag of frozen broccoli that I cooked with the noodles and a can of chicken, and it became an entire meal for like $7. I'm not mad, You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. When you do that, again, I think it's working smarter, not harder. And it is a little bit cheating, but you know what? Like, I don't really care because I cook for me and my wife, and if I'm having people over, I'll still do it too, because you know what, you can always doctor it up, and make it better. So that's why, like, even though I think it is cheating, I think it's great too, Same thing, again, going back to like the cake mixes. I'm not going to measure out flour and baking powder and this. And if you have a cake mix, you know what? Doctor it up, make it 10 times better, like.
So there's a lady that I follow on Facebook that she does pantry restocks, but they're homemade.
Okay.
So her family has like a lot of allergies, and I think one of them is to maybe one of the stabilizers, and I think they have like a corn allergy too, and cornstarch is used in a lot of things. It's kind of like a thickener or whatever. And so she will make like brownie mix, and then she'll share the recipe, or she'll make like bulk pancake mix, and then she'll share the recipe, and she has like labels that you can print and stuff. I'm not about to go that all out, right? But what I'm getting at is that a cake mix is just those pre-measured dry ingredients. It does have preservatives in it, so it lasts longer on the shelf, but it really doesn't have most of what it has in it that's added that doesn't need to be there is like coloring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people, some people can't have food colors. Some groups of people react badly to them. Some people, have like known reactions and allergies. But when we're talking about just like plain old, let's go like white cake mix, it's essentially just all the dry ingredients in a box. Like, what's wrong with that? So it's like I paid somebody else to measure them out. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no shame in that.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm gonna get like 30 minutes of my life back. So
I mean, yeah, and like I said, like a lot of that, I go back to like my food content, because like I can show someone how to do it, but attention spans nowadays are so limited that like if I made a 15-minute video on how to make a cake, like people are gonna probably just fast forward to the end part, versus
I can show you. Yeah, I can show you how to make really amazing homemade ketchup from scratch, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm just using that ketchup for French fries, like, what's the Heinz makes pretty great ketchup, so you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, okay, pick and choose, right? Pick and choose. If you're gonna make sweet tomato basil ketchup, or you're going to make like spicy jalapeno ketchup and you're canning it to give to people as gifts, that's one thing, right? You're kind of in for that investment. But in everyday life, like, typically, no, I'm not making barbecue sauce because Finch is the best. So I put that on everything. But so
yeah.
Hey, speaking of Finch, I sent some Lone Star beef rub to Gerardo. I'm waiting to see him use it on a pizza.
Oh, okay.
Over at DeCasa. So
I'll hit him up. I'll ask him.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see how that works.
What I still need to do is make some lamb bacon for him, so that way he can put that on his pizzas. I'd be intrigued with that one.
Yes, please. Yes.
Speaking of which, so totally not convenient.
Ostrich wings.
Yes. My buddy sent me a picture of him smoking ostrich wings, and I think he he ended up cooking it for a lot longer than he thought. I think he was anticipating like a couple hours, but it was like 4 or 5, 6 hours. I don't even know. But he was like, okay, it's very gamey, but it's tender, it's juicy, this and that. So I was like, well, I gotta buy some. And so, of course, for me, that's like YouTube content right there. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how to make that convenient. We're just gonna like brine it, sous vide it, smoke it, cool it, air fry it. I don't know.
I don't think
so
there's
many
any
different
way
ways
to make them convenient, but the convenience part of it is like maybe the sauce, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're gonna put on it.
yeah. We're gonna spend hours making these
Dude.
wings, and then we're gonna get buffalo sauce.
So one of my favorite, we talked about pesto, we talked about barbecue sauce, right? One of my favorite things to have is that raspberry chipotle sauce. Have you had that one? The
I am so
Fisher's
glad you
brand
don't call
or
that chipotle.
well, yeah, because I'm educated. Chipotle. But yeah, they make it. I like to put it on a brick of cream cheese, right? Easy snack. But I'm thinking, right, raspberry chipotle on an ostrich wing because you need the fruit to stand up to the gaminess, and you need the smoky to stand up to the gaminess. I'm like,
I'm gonna make my own
that
raspberry chipotle sauce.
that could be really, really good. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
That's
saying.
true. That's true.
I'm just saying. I love buffalo sauce. Don't get me wrong. And Frank's is like, I hold it in high regard. But
what if you were to toss it in buffalo sauce that you made from scratch and then glaze it, reglaze it with a raspberry chipotle sauce?
So like mop it like while it's cooking with the buffalo sauce?
Maybe. I don't know.
Ooh, you're creating
Or you
layers of
just do a
smoky.
buffalo raspberry chipotle sauce.
Yes. Yes, please.
Because buffalo sauce is what, like vinegar, paprika. I don't even know.
And real bits of buffalo. I couldn't resist. Buffalo, duh. It's in the name. But yeah. Like it's like vinegar and a variety of, hot peppers and usually like butter and maybe some honey, depending on where you are. Yeah, it has this, spicy acid components, but dude, that sounds so good. It's like sweet and spicy.
And the other thing that I also got was ostrich necks, which is apparently cooks down like oxtail.
Oh my gosh, stop.
So we're gonna find that out. There won't be any convenience other than me using a beef broth or chicken broth that's already made.
Do you have a
convenience there?
Do you have a favorite? Like I like better than bouillon paste. Do you have a favorite? Do you use like a carton broth or like cans or?
Typically, I'll use the carton of like broth. I don't go with like the bone broth that comes in like those little bougie jars that are like $6 versus like $2 for a nice quart of like chicken broth. You know what I'm saying?
So my deal with that is like every stock, if you put meat in it, is by definition broth, right? If there's like meat on the bones, like that's the difference, right? So I'm like, oh, bone broth. It had bones and meat in it. Like I can do the same thing. I'm not paying for this. But the other way is like, okay, but if I'm paying for it, I'm not going to pay like those Kettle and Fire. They're like $6.99.
Yeah.
It's wild. And they don't taste any different to me than like, regular like hill country fare beef broth. You know what I mean?
Now, let me ask you this. Whenever you do that, do you use the lower sodium or you just go regular?
It depends on what it's for. I was actually, get out of my head, Steven. I was about to ask you the exact same question. Well, I'll go first. So I use the low sodium if I'm going to make something that's really salty. Like, if it's going for minestrone and I'm putting Parmesan in it, low sodium because the Parmesan's salty. Or if I'm using the broth for like curry and I know there's going to be like soy and salty, then yeah. But otherwise I do full flavor.
So I always like to go with the low sodium as well, but because typically when I braise like proteins, I like to season them, so that way as it cooks down, it concentrates.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times it concentrates just right, but if it needs a little extra salt, you can always put salt in, but you can't take it out. So that's why I always enjoy the lower sodium personally. But now it's like, okay, what are we going to do with ostrich necks, But for convenience, we will use pre-made broth. from the
I
grocery store.
think you're gonna
Oh,
make ostrich necks and dumplings. Is what you're gonna make.
well, on the website they showed them as like tacos, so I was like,
Oh,
that would be kind of cool. But
okay.
ostrich neck and dumplings might actually be a thing, especially because it'll be cold when they come in.
Yeah.
So then it would have to be
I
like
wonder.
green chili
So I
ostrich and
wonder.
dumpling. There you
Yes.
go.
So when you make the dumplings, what do you do? Because I like using canned biscuits, and that's my convenience item.
That is mine as well. Totally. No joke. I didn't even think that that was a thing. And one day I was at work and one of my colleagues did that. And I thought, this is good. Of course, you get the purists who are like, no, like that is wrong and this and that.
Yeah.
Yes, again, cheating, cutting corners, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it comes out good and it works. That's all that matters.
There are some traditions of chicken and dumplings that there we've got moms and grandmas and aunts, great grandmas. They would make the dumplings would be like a rollout dough that you would cut into strips or squares.
Yes.
So I get that. Sometimes it's just as easy as like it's literally buttermilk and self-rising flour or hot water and self-rising flour, depending on where you grew up. I like the biscuits because I like to make my chicken and dumplings kind of loose, and all that puffy starch kind of helps thicken it. And I don't have to do a roux or a slurry. I kind of like to let the biscuits expand. So I like to buy the canned biscuits and I cut them into like fourths or sixes and kind of like put them in last minute.
I just tear them up. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah. Like really organic looking. Yeah, I get that. I love that. I love that too. That kind of rustic, size and shapes. I like to make chicken pot pie in muffin tins and use the biscuit as the top. Like the whole canvas.
Biscuit pot pie? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I saw the crescent rolls on your story the other day, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen Steven use crescent rolls. I really like having crescent rolls in the house, though. So
I typically don't have them, but again, like every now and then you just happen to have them, and you wonder what do we do with this? So yeah. It worked out totally.
Nice,
totally worked out, and it came out a little bit nicer than I thought it was gonna look because I was like, okay, how am I gonna wrap this?
How am I gonna do this?
So you start going down your angles, and then you're like, okay, I had this last little bit. What do I do? Just wrap it all around. But
yeah.
I think green chili ostrich and dumplings might be good, but an ostrich pot pie doesn't sound bad either. So
hey, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? A very naughty greyhound just pulled my entire headphone out of my ear. What'd you say?
Ostrich pot pie does not sound bad at all.
Oh, it does not sound bad at all. I wonder how much meat you'll get off of those necks, though. You know what I mean?
Like I said, it's kind of like a oxtail. So we'll find out. We'll find out when I get it.
I just wonder if something so gamey would benefit from like the Caribbean style of cooking oxtails, like jerk or curry or coconut or
that oxtail stew that I made a few
months
ago. Heck yeah, that was good.
Oh man,
and I don't even remember what I threw in there. I knew there was mushrooms in there and onions.
What about seasoning blends? Do you have any problem with that? I don't.
So as much as I love Finch Barbecue's seasoning, one of my other favorites is the Fiesta brand Uncle Chris's Steakhouse seasoning.
Yes.
And I use that on quite a bit as well.
It's really, really good. I love that stuff, and I love a good old taco packet. I know I can make it from scratch, but like, come on, guys, it's 49 cents. Let me live my life. It's really good in a lot of things too. Plain yogurt, blended up cottage cheese, ground beef, white people taco night. No, I use taco. I use taco seasoning for almost everything except for tacos. I like it in a whole lot of other things. So when I make tacos, don't worry, I make everything the right way. I blend like guajillos, and I don't do. I have this long torrid love affair with street corn, and it's a running joke between some friends and I that we send recipes back and forth. It's like street corn everything. But no, when I make tacos at home, I like to use chilies and blend them, and kind of like an onion and chili de arbol and guajillo and like an ancho. That's another kind of convenience thing I like. I like buying those dried chilies and keeping them in the freezer. in a Ziploc bag, So I'll blend everything together. Probably the way that I lose points in that process is I kind of do like Rotel like in my taco filling.
Okay.
So it kind of becomes like machaca at that
in
point.
all fairness, if you do stuff like that, like for example, green chilies, like you can't get them year round. So sometimes you have to use
them. But
them.
they can. They're delicious in a can.
Exactly.
You ever make potato soup and just add a can of green chilies for funsies?
I've never done that, but now I'm gonna have to.
It's a game changer.
I'm gonna have to do that. Do you leave them chunky or do you blend them all up?
I leave them so there's little bits in the bites. So you're like, whoa, where'd this come from? Little bite.
I haven't made a potato soup.
Probably been a while because you haven't been doing like starch carbs.
No. Sweet potato stew. Cream of sweet potato.
So when we're talking about sweet potatoes, have you used the boniatos, the Japanese white sweet potatoes?
I like them.
Dude, they're so good. They make a really good hash. I like to make breakfast hash with them.
What I do is I like to roast them off and then I'll throw like cashew butter in them or cashew cheese. It's always good.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
Yeah. But you have to make the cashews just a little bit salty because they're naturally sweet,
Mm-hmm.
And then you add a little bit of some like lime juice, a little bit of acidity just to brighten it up, and it complements that boniato so good.
Steve, that would be a good place for your soy sauce powder. That's a good application for that. I know.
You think about that. That's good.
Okay, so if we're on the subject of sweet potatoes, I have another convenience item that I can't live without.
What's that?
One of my favorite. I'm not going to call it a struggle meal. I kind of hate that word because there are people out there that are making meals to, that's all they have to live on. So I'm kind of like, let's really not glorify that. Sorry, I'll get down off my soapbox. But dang, people of TikTok, you can do better. People are struggling to eat. It's a real thing. Anyway, I digress. I like the Bush's Fiesta seasoned bean blends. Have you seen those?
I've never had them.
They have like a spicy variety of pinto bean and it has like chilies and tomatoes and corn, or they have like a black bean, that's more like, I think it's more kind of like a Caribbean mojo slant. It has like lime and onion and things. Well, I like to bake a sweet potato and fill it with a can of those pre-seasoned beans and put some cheese on it, and it's a meal.
Throw some cheese on that.
Throw some cheese on it.
That sounds good though.
It's delicious. It's really delicious. Or a regular baked potato too. You have everything. It's complete. Protein, fiber, vitamin A, all of it. It's good.
I'm gonna have to make a potato leek soup now. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Do you like canned beans?
I'll use canned beans a lot of the times because it's convenient. You see what we're doing there? Yes. And then I always love to refry them like in bacon fat or chorizo fat or something, whatever I have.
Chorizo fat refried beans?
You never done that before?
No.
Holy smokes, it's good.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do it now.
And then you have like bits and pieces of chorizo in your beans and all that.
Yes.
And then you just throw a bunch of like really sharp cheddar in a tortilla.
Mm-hmm. Steve, who's winning the game?
I don't know what you're talking about. All right. So before we started this podcast, I told Melissa that there was a certain football game going on with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowpies. If you then I don't feel bad because that's what it's meant to do. And so right now there's 4 minutes left and it's 34-6. Now, most people would say, now, Steven, why are you not watching the game? Well, because it's streaming on I don't know what, and I don't really care because it's on my phone. But the convenience of food would be chicken wings with your sauce or a pizza. You know what would actually is ultimate like convenience? You get like your pre-made pizza crusts. Do you ever do those? Yeah, I do from time to time. But
Bonza makes a really good chickpea pizza crust. It's really tasty.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
It's really, really good.
So let me ask you this. Would getting a frozen pizza be considered a convenience as well? Because again, like we always add extra stuff, fried egg on top, all that stuff. Like, would you consider that a convenience?
Yeah, I think it's a convenience item, but I think it's okay. Like getting a cheese pizza and then adding like veggies and meat to it.
I think, but you have to add like more exotic stuff, like more exotic veggies.
Oh, canned
Meat.
pineapple? Huh?
You could do pineapple, but that's you're sparking outrage there.
Half the listeners are like, boo.
Pineapple, and then you throw prosciutto on there.
Yes.
You're onto something.
Yes.
You can't just be ham, you know?
Okay, I got it. So frozen pizza crust. There's a lot of frozen pizza crust out there that comes in like the dough form, right?
Right.
That it's like a bowl of dough.
And I like those, yeah.
And you kind of like you let it rise again and you roll it. I really like that. It's like they sell the tortillas that are like ready for the plancha,
Yep.
With that pizza, one of my other favorite convenience items is the string mozzarella cheese that's already rolled in the prosciutto. It's like the little antipasto starter. Okay.
Yep.
Hear me out. You punch the pizza dough down, you let it rise, you punch it down again, punch.
Right.
It just looks like
I have to do that so
look, it's drumline. Look, everybody. So you punch it down. Punch it down is an industry term for anybody that doesn't know. It's like gets air bubbles out of the dough. Anyway, so you roll it out. You take those mozzarella that's rolled in the prosciutto and you put that in the crust to make the stuffed crust. Whoa.
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 Whoa. And then you use jarred pesto as the base and the fried egg.
And more cheese.
Okay, I got to go to the store. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Right. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do, like I said, for tonight's dinner, we still have that leftover casserole, and we have like those frozen biscuits that you can throw in the air fryer.
Yes.
So for some reason, like, and I'm not complaining. It sounds like I'm complaining. I promise I'm not. But like my wife, she threw like the whole chicken breast in there and like the broccoli and all that raw. So like I like them smaller pieces. So I do is I like to just chop it up into small pieces, almost like mince everything. And then we'll make that like a biscuit pot pie in the air fryer. Look at us being creative.
Ooh, I want that. I want that right now. How do you feel about canned soup?
I don't mind it. Every now and then I'll have a canned soup, but I always forget that they exist at the grocery store. So like I could have just bought a canned soup, But
I do
like to make that from scratch, but I will like cheat sometimes and get like the pre-cut vegetables. See, convenience.
At convenience. I really like the Progresso soups. They make a really good meal. Sometimes if that's what you got, make a pan of cornbread, have a roll, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Frozen dinner rolls, I think, is a game changer. I don't know if you've seen that. I kind of hate this word hack, but it's the thing where you take the frozen dinner rolls and you let them proof in a glass dish and use your fingers to press it down into like a shortcut focaccia. So you press it all together. Have you seen that? You like olive oil, rosemary, garlic, and
no.
Yeah.
But I'm about it now.
Yeah. All about it. I mean, anything that keeps me from having to make a 2-step sponge dough is like, yes, please.
Right.
Yes, please.
The one thing that I will not bend on is like, if you do nachos, I will not bend on the Rico's cheese. That's the one where I'm just like, no, I'll make my own cheese sauce.
I know that it's probably not the way that everybody else does, but I like to make my nachos in the oven on a sheet tray with like shredded cheese. Yeah.
I don't like, okay, so I don't dislike the shredded cheese method.
You like a sauce.
I like a sauce. Yeah. But I mean, if you get it done right, so the way I like it is when it's got like the beans on them and the meat and the cheese, like that's killer. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. There's something about a saucy nacho, man.
Yeah. Well, I like a combo of both. And so one of the things I like to do, so that's a thing I'll eat the heck out of some gas station nachos. We're talking about convenience foods, but if we talk about a convenience store, I'll eat a gas station nacho all day long. The plastic cheese. I don't care. No shame. But one of the things
burritos that they have there.
What is it?
Convenience. The stoner burritos.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The mini tacos that 7-Eleven has, forget it. Pizza at Racetrack, we talked about it. Yes. I'm in. And well, now I have sheets out here. They have everything. The wings, phenomenal. What was I? Oh, sorry, nachos. One of the things that is like a game changer for nachos is that I know it sounds like a pain, but I worked at this restaurant when I think I was 20. It was in the middle of podunk nowhere, just podunk nowhere.
I remember that.
They had really amazing nachos. And one of the reasons why the nachos were so amazing was because when we would get an order, it came in a half or a whole, depending on, whichever one it was would determine how many chips were in the order, obviously. But it was like bean, beef, all this stuff. But you would spread the beans individually on each chip before they went into the salad. And then you would like load the meat and caramelized onions and like pico and dude, it just doesn't get any better than that. It is so good that way.
I absolutely love it because I think it shows a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless you're the line cook making it, then you're like,
but in every nachos that came in, I'd be like, damn it.
Yeah. I do remember that restaurant that you worked at. You took us out there once, and it was awesome. And it was literally in the middle of nowhere.
Literally in the middle of nowhere. Yep.
Is it still around?
I don't know. Huh. I have no idea. I don't know. No love lost for that. No love lost for that place, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if they're still around or not. Good luck and Godspeed. Bye. Canned soup. Cream of chicken soup. I always have on hand.
I don't always have it on hand, but I prefer cream of mushroom over cream of chicken.
Really?
Yeah.
You're all about some mushrooms, though.
I am. Totally. For like green bean casserole, yeah. Again, you could do it from scratch and all that, and that's great.
Do you put cheese in your? But you don't like green beans, Stephen. Is that the way that you will?
I'm sorry. I meant to say Brussels sprout casserole because I will smash that.
So you make it the same way with Brussels sprouts.
Shaved Brussels sprouts.
Okay. I was just going to ask,
man, it's good.
How do you feel about frozen Brussels sprouts? But I think you answered.
I prefer like the freshly shaved ones.
Yeah.
Well, even then, what I like to do is I like to take it a step further and air fry them and then make my casserole. There's something about it, man, that just makes them 10 times better.
Well, you get that roasty flavor, and it takes all of that cabbage butt smell out of it.
True.
That's what I said. I said it. Just deal with it, everybody. Cabbage butt smell. It's a thing. But Bird's Eye has a blend that I really like. That's sweet potato, red potato, and Brussels sprout, and it's pre-seasoned. It is delicious. And broccoli is also something that I probably buy frozen more than raw all the time. Broccoli and cauliflower.
I'm so sick of it. I get into like my modes of like, I'm gonna eat healthy and there's gonna be broccoli and I'm gonna cook it all. And then next thing you know, I'm just like, ugh, I'm so grossed out. I'll take a bite of like cooked broccoli.
Wow. That's how I get with. I know you're not a big fan of squash, but that's how I get with like zucchini squash and yellow squash was kind of my go-to side for a while, and that's how I get on that stuff. It's just like ugh. In the way that it feels when you cut it up, and it kind of makes your hands slimy, a little like gross.
Squash is amazing. Acorn squash is phenomenal.
Okay, do you buy pre-diced butternut squash?
It depends on how lazy I'm feeling.
It's a game changer sometimes.
It is really. I will buy a whole one, but if I just don't feel like dicing it all up, I'll buy some pre-diced.
It's the peeling. I mean, I love roasting one and like brown sugar and butter and like pecans. I like to take it that direction. Cinnamon. Scoop the guts out, and then roast it, and then you're eating it like out of the skin. I love that. But I like to take diced butternut squash and black beans and pinto beans and cauliflower and blistered grape tomatoes, and I like to season it like chili. It's really good.
I'd be about that.
It's really good. It's like you could sheet pan roast it.
Yeah.
So
I'd be.
So I've like canned beans, and then I use the pre-diced butternut squash, and then I will steam it, or I'll use the microwave to steam it. Ooh, bad chef. And because reasons. Yes.
Chef Mike is amazing.
Chef Mike is the hardest worker in the kitchen. Just saying. So hardest worker in the kitchen. Chef
Yeah.
Mike.
And so, it's funny because even when you don't think about it, like a lot of caterers will do stuff like this as well because
Yeah.
it helps them out prepare, vast amounts of food and save a lot of time. I have a
So
friend of mine
go ahead.
who does catering, and he makes
Yeah.
some of the best food out there. And sometimes he like he won't use like powdered mashed potatoes or nothing like that, but like he'll
Hmm.
do like the cake boxes, and then he'll get like the pasta that's like when he's making his lasagnas and whatnot, he'll get the sauces that are pre-made and he'll doctor it up, and he adds his love and his touch to it, and it always comes out amazing. But like, you know, I again going back to like the very beginning of our conversation, like I don't think it's a bad thing to do that.
Yeah. I there's some things that are just designed to save time, and like I buy pico de gallo sometimes.
I will
Right?
say though,
It's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, no, I agree. It's funny because even convenience you can use like my buddy Mike, he does power tools like to make his mashed potatoes, like when he makes them like the big batches and like the paint mixers that they use and all that, where it's just like a long bar. He'll use that on his drill and he'll mash them up that way. Super cool, convenient. I've never
Can
seen
you
that up
hear me
until I
when
went
I
huh?
can you hear me when I yell at the dogs?
No, not at all.
Okay, cool. I muted the mic just in time. My dog, I don't know what's in the backyard, y'all, but my dogs are going insane. Power tools is one thing. I love using making the food work for you instead of waiting on it. I was going to tell you, I catered a birthday party one time and I was doing like enchiladas and black beans and rice. I used minute rice and I let it cook itself on the way there.
Damn, that's smart.
Like in hotel pans, like I added all the stuff, the seasonings, like basically adobo, like making like the red base for kind of like the Spanish rice. And I used minute rice and wrapped it up tight, and everything was boiling when I put it in there. And when I put it in there, and I can't talk today. What a great day to record a podcast! I got the case of the can't talks, and I fluffed it with a fork when I got there, and it was beautiful. So it was perfect.
Nice.
Like potato flakes, I keep them in the house, Steve, but I don't make mashed potatoes with them. I use them to tighten sauces and soups when I don't want to thicken it with a roux. Just stir a little in there. It's magic,
Magic.
Magic. I keep egg white powder on hand. It's very affordable, and I keep it on hand when I just want like a little tiny bit of fluff, oomph to something.
I only use that stuff to make whiskey sours.
Nice.
But yeah.
Nice.
I feel that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think it's lovely, and overall, I think anytime someone can use or work smarter and not I guess call them shortcuts, cut corners.
No, I don't know what to call them.
I have nothing against it.
Like Steve and I were talking before the show. We're like, what do we call this? Do we call it hacks? No, convenience items, maybe pre-prepared items, shortcuts. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. I think, chefs, we do things like real people do at home too,
Yeah. And we love to share that with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love, one of the things that I love to do during the holidays is I like to take frozen bread dough. If Pillsbury makes it, you can like make a sandwich loaf. It just comes in the pop open can. You can knead the pesto right into the dough and let it rise again. And then you kind of use those as your little dippers for like spinach artichoke dip. So just like store-bought pesto, store-bought bread dough, knead it in there. It makes like super herbaceous, really good. Like they look like little poppers when you get done with them. Break it off into little balls, roll it up, bake it just like you would for bread. Obviously less time because it's smaller, and use it to dip your like artichoke dip, crab dip, It's very tasty.
Yeah. Nice.
Or you can use it to make garlic knots. It's the same idea, right? Like roll the bread dough into like a cast iron and put a bunch of garlic and butter all over it. So what's wrong with that? Nothing at all.
So yeah, everyone at home, you all know how we work at home. At work is something different, but I mean, sometimes it's got to be done. We enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't have hours and hours at home sometimes. I don't think there's any shame in a can or a bag or a box every once in a while, but make it better or make it your own at least, right?
Yeah.
Put a twist on it, put a spin on it, make it special, or use it as a stepping stone to learn how to make the real thing when you have the time. You know what I mean?
There's no shame in our game.
Yeah, no shame in my game at all. There's another thing I like to do quite often. Oh, pudding mix. I always have it on hand. I always have pudding mix on hand, Steve. No, now you're laughing. I'm being serious. I'm bringing it home.
Because there's like a handful of things where you always have on hand. It's funny.
I know. I do. I always have like,
you.
I have protein powder on hand all the time. I have pudding mix. I've got clear gel is a substance that's used to, when you're canning fruit jams and jellies, it keeps the mixture from getting cloudy and it thickens it up without making it like cloud up. It's kind of keeps it clear, hence the name clear gel. It's really useful for a lot of other things too. You know, it's super useful. What else? I have smoked salt and pepper in the house all the time because I don't own a smoker. So if I want a little hit of some smokiness in the background, liquid smoke's really cool if you don't use too much of it. It can enhance something else, you know. It's just nasty if you use too much.
Right.
But I almost always have a frozen, what they call the 5-way mix, which is carrot, pea, lima bean, green bean, corn. That's the mixed vegetables 5 ways because it's like $1 for 2 pounds. I always have that in the house. So yeah. I love it, Steve. Do you think we left anything out?
There's probably more, but I mean, I think we've discussed quite a bit of ways that we like to cook at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's winning? Is there a wiener?
The Eagles won.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. After we wrap up, I'm going to be harassing a lot of people online through text message.
Sorry, Michael Nip, if you're listening. The Eagles won. By the time you hear this, I think the game will be like 2 weeks old. But well, Steve, I'm glad to hear that you're just a normal folk like me, and we're just normal people, even though we're chefs, just like everybody else.
Right.
Idaho and 4 cheese mashed potatoes for the win. Just saying. Just saying.
Well, now we're gonna have to go put some of this to use to make dinner.
Yeah, I think chicken and dumplings are my future. I want to find a steak somewhere, but I think chicken and dumplings are my future because it's getting cold. So I'm in.
Dumplings. I'm in.
Green chili ostrich neck dumplings. Please report back.
I will, whenever it comes in.
All right, dude. I love getting to talk to you. See you soon. Bye.